and we can hear you, we can hear me, so we can finally start. It's only 30 minutes later, but that's good. Oh, you're muted again, Mark. There you go.
There. Sorry about that, Ezra.
We can hear you.
Okay. Well, let me introduce you very quickly.
Well, introduce yourself first, because we've got some, I think, audience members that don't know you. So. Okay.
I'm Mark Mitchell. I'm a friend of Ezra's, and I'm with the Make Your Splashes, Make Your Marks online learning community, which is about children's book illustration and drawing and painting, and the publishing industry. And I'm so glad Ezra could join us today, and Pooja, because this will be the first time we've had a hangout to talk about the InteractBuilder 3.0 that's been released since, I think, our last hangout with Ezra back in January. So Ezra is the CEO and developer and founder of InteractBuilder and now Interact Studios, and he's going to tell us what's up with the application. It keeps getting better all the time. It's a free software that you guys can download to make interactive books for touchscreen devices, and now we can put animations in them. So anyway, I'll let Ezra talk about it. Thank you, Ezra. Sorry about all the confusion this morning.
Yeah, we're learning our way around Google Hangouts, which is very cool. And
it's so cool.
Yeah, we apologize to everyone. Obviously, we ran extremely late, so that's not typical for us. I mean, my webinars normally go later than planned on the back end. Usually we're right on time on the front end, so maybe we'll reverse it this time. We'll be late on the front end, and I'll try to end this a lot quicker than I normally do. So anyway, it's great to have everyone here. I don't even know who's here. I wish there was a way for us to actually see that, but I think there are several people here, and we are recording this for those of you who need to leave or can't stay the length of time. We are going to record this. Just to preface, I actually did not prepare anything for this meeting because I really wanted it to be more of a hangout, more of a conversation. I'll show you some stuff. I'll go through some screens. This will be good for anyone who's never seen the software. It'll be good for people who have seen the software. And I'll even be talking about our upcoming update, which, as Mark mentioned, we did release version 3.0. We released it, I'm horrible on dates, but I think it was released right around the March timeframe. I think we've been out for a couple of months now. And we are already fixing to release version 3.1. So that's what's coming up on the horizon. Now I'm going to share my screen, and let me just share my desktop here. And I'll switch to another screen. This way you're not seeing me multiple times. Okay, so Mark, if you can just chat to Pooja and make sure that she sees my screen okay. I assume you're seeing it.
Yes, I can see it.
Is it?
Oh, okay. All right, Pooja, I didn't know if you're on audio or not. So, and I also would absolutely like to thank Pooja Srinivas, who organized this meeting. Pooja works for Google, and she has been active in our community. She's actually one of Mark's students. Mark actually teaches some online courses for how to illustrate children's books, and he has just a great blog site and a very active community. So any of you from my community who are here who don't know Mark, definitely make sure to check out his site and his offerings. If you are an illustrator or a children's book author, he's got some great resources for you. And I did provide a link for anyone who's interested in terms of what Mark offers. There was a link in the invitation that we emailed out last night.
Thank you.
No problem. No problem. But thank you, Pooja, again for setting this up. Unfortunately, Pooja is traveling, so it makes it extremely difficult to organize these things, and I really appreciate her organizing it. I travel a lot, so I know the trials and tribulations of internet in hotel rooms. So thank you, Pooja, again. Really, we're going to open the floor up for questions. Pooja is going to monitor the chat room, and you can ask questions, make comments. Again, I'm really not following any particular script because this is really meant as a hangout. So Mark, feel free to interrupt me. Same thing with you, Pooja. Pooja is actually also a member of our community, and has been working with the software over in India, and she's actually going to be introducing the software to some schools in India, her and her mom. So yeah, we're really excited about that. And speaking of, I will mention, we haven't made an official announcement, but we are extremely excited, and we will be putting out some press releases about this soon. The Interact Studios, which is our company name, has signed an agreement with Rice University here in Texas. And Rice University has a program called STEM Scopes. And STEM Scopes is basically an online learning center for grades K through 12. STEM Scopes has 40,000 teachers that have signed up to their program. They use their materials and curriculum and courses for their classes, and specifically STEM Scopes focuses on the science and technology, mathematics subjects. So they have 40,000 teachers and over 1.2 million students that use their curriculum. Interact Studios and STEM Scopes are teaming up, and we're extremely excited about this. We are working with them not only to develop course material using the InteractBuilder, but we are actually introducing the InteractBuilder to the STEM Scopes entire community for them to use, both teachers to use it in their classrooms, as well as students to use it for their classes. And we will also be setting up a whole curriculum for teaching the InteractBuilder to kids. So this is really huge. STEM Scopes, with their 1.2 million students, currently is only really focused mostly in Texas. They are going nationwide in the next few months, and it's just extremely exciting for us, as you can imagine. So everyone here, you're the first to know about this news. How that impacts you is that we are going to have just a ton more people that learn and know about the InteractBuilder. For those of you who are illustrators and authors, or those of you who are just app builders, you all know that the hardest part in succeeding in this market is getting the word out, because you're competing with so many other titles, so many other apps that are out there. And for us, what this means is that more and more people will be aware of Interact Studios. They'll be aware of the products that are being developed with the Interact Studios offerings, with the InteractBuilder, and it gives us just tremendous push in terms of market awareness. And market awareness is really, one of the most critical things. So, Mark didn't even know this news. I didn't share it with Pooja. I really, yeah, we're really, really excited about this. So it will also really help propel us in terms of building more functionality and more features into the software. So very excited about that. So that's my impromptu announcement about Interact Studios. Now, the InteractBuilder, I'm going to start from scratch, but I'm going to mix some things in and show all of you some things that are coming in version 3.1, and maybe I'll build something really quick, just something fun here, and then I'll share some other really neat and interesting news. So again, if you're a seasoned user of InteractBuilder, I do recommend that you stick around for this. We're just going to have some fun here. So what's the InteractBuilder all about? It really is all about building apps. And even though a lot of the people here are focused on children's books and interactive books, the actual goal of the InteractBuilder is to allow anyone to create any type of what we call an interactive app. But as we progress with the software and as we add more and more features, we actually hope that this will become a platform for developing apps in general, not just interactive multimedia apps, which is probably where the focus is right now. So you'll see on the screen, this is the opening screen for the InteractBuilder. And we start by showing you different project types that you can build. Really, it doesn't matter which project type you choose. The menus and options really don't change in terms of the project types. This is just a way for you to organize your projects. So think of it as a filing cabinet, and these are the drawers in the cabinet. So you've got, you know, your different drawers to categorize your different project types. Now, one of the things we're adding in version 3.1, and version 3.1 is coming out this week. We're hoping actually it will be released. We're hoping tomorrow. I was hoping that for the last couple of weeks, but honestly, we've added some really, really good features. So we keep pushing back. We are fixing several bugs that have been reported. So I'll talk about some of those as we keep going here. But a couple of the things that you'll notice is we've added a registration button here. Now, the nice thing is when you go to register, if you've already registered, you can just put in your email address and your password, or you can just start a registration from scratch. Now, why do you care about registering the software? Because the software, I should mention, is free, right? The InteractBuilder is a free software application. How do we as a company, which we're not a not-for-profit company, how do we make money? How do we earn our revenue? Is basically providing a level, a subscription level to the software that you can sign up for once you feel like this is the tool that you're going to use to publish applications. Now there's another way where the monetary side of it comes in, because our tool allows you to build an app and then to publish it in the App Store. And we can do the publishing for you, meaning it can come under our company name in the App Store. Or if you have an account with the App Store, we can actually publish it under your name. So that's totally up to you. But there's another way that you can actually publish your apps, and that's really sharing your apps. And we're going to look at that some more as we go through this little demonstration. So that registration button is new, and the registration again is free, and you definitely want to register yourself. We're not going to send you a bunch of marketing. We're not going to sell your email address to any site in particular. But we do like to know who's using our software, and we do like to have a method of communicating with you. The other exciting feature that we've added is the feedback button here. And with the feedback, we have forums on our InteractBuilder website, and these forums have been pretty active, you know, mostly from a support standpoint, but there's a lot of other discussions that go on. Well, we're actually moving to a much more comprehensive support and feedback system. And we've just launched this, so you know there's not much on there now, but it's going to grow. And the key here is that you can provide us feedback as you're using the software. You don't have to go to your browser. You can just start typing in your suggestion or question, and as you type in, it actually will give you some advice. So, you know, for example, if I start typing in the word cash, it actually will show me here's everything that is discussed on this particular topic. I can actually go and choose one of these if it looks interesting, or if I choose to, I can actually post this as a question or support ticket, or even a suggestion or a request. So if you think, hey, you know, I'd really like to have this feature, you can actually post that, and you can also vote on different ideas. So our goal is to become a very, well, not even to become, we already are a very community-oriented company. We want your involvement, we want your feedback. You know, we have a very strong following already. You know, we've been around for a couple of years now, and there's some people here like Anne, who's come up first, who's really been probably one of our most active. Both Melissa and Anne have been extremely active in our community and have been a tremendous help. And really the key is to build this community and to build awareness, not only within the community, but also outside of the community. And really everyone's success will help each other's success. So our goal is to be very transparent and to provide you with very easy ways to provide us feedback. So that's what the feedback button is. And again, you won't see that on the current version. That's coming in version 3.1. So let's go ahead and just choose a project type, and I'll just choose cards. And you'll notice here I've got several test ones that we've been playing with. But basically, if you remember, if we have our different filing cabinet drawers, where each drawer is my different category of an app, this is basically what's in the drawer. So in the drawer I have different apps that I have built, and I can also start a new app. In this case I can start a new card. Now just real quick, for those of you who maybe don't know, you can actually hold your mouse down on any app, and at this point you can do three things. You can edit the name of the app, you can duplicate the app, which is actually a nice feature. So if you have another app that you want to build that's very similar to the first app, you can actually duplicate the app, or you can delete the app. So if I wanted to get rid of that, it just goes away from my bookcase. Okay, and this bookcase actually scrolls. So as you add different apps, it will actually scroll and show you more and more apps. Okay, so let's just build a quick little app, and as we continue we'll show you some of the other features in the software. So we'll just call this, let's not mistaken that for the hangover. And I'll go ahead and choose no image for the app, and I'll show you what that does. Let me go back to the manage screen, and the manage screen is my bookcase, and you'll notice here that we now have an icon for the app, and it's just a default icon. So I can choose an icon, or I can just choose to use the default icon. Okay, so I'll go back to that. Oh, I don't know what that did there. I'll just choose new again. Hear my fan really loud, or I just did a test. But my fan is running.
It sounds like a pivoting fan.
Yeah, let me
Ezra, we've lost your audio.
Yeah, I can't hear either.
Ezra, can you hear us? We're not hearing your audio. There you are. Your audio's back.
My audio's back now?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Oh, okay.
We lost her for just a few seconds.
Okay. And you lost my screen too, right?
We're just seeing the webcam on you right now. Yeah,
Okay.
we're not seeing your screen.
Let me. Okay. Hopefully you're seeing my screen now.
Not yet. Maybe in a second. That looks like, yeah, there we go.
Okay.
Yes, we can see it now.
You can see it now? Okay. All right. So let me, actually, I ended up choosing another app here. So let's just talk again. Sorry about the little technical difficulty, and hopefully my fan is not running as loud. So
We
hopefully
don't.
you're hearing me okay. Excellent. All right. So basically, this is the opening screen for any app that you're building. And essentially, you start with an empty canvas. And what we like to do is we like to call these pages, even though, again, you may be building an app that isn't an interactive book, but you're still building pages or scenes or different forms, depending whatever terminology you're used to. We simply use pages. So you'll see on the top right, I've got, and I just call this test for now. I had an issue with the first app that I built, so I switched it over. But let me go ahead and change that app name. So I'll go into the menu here, and this is the app menu, and I can go to info. No, not info. Where's my? This is something I guess we changed again. Let me go back to here. Let me delete this Hangout one. And here I'll show you how to edit the name. So we'll just call this one the Hangout. No. Don't know why it's not letting me change that name there. So we'll have to keep it at test. All right. So let's do something and actually create something in this app. And what we're going to do first is I'm just going to choose a background for this particular page. Now, I started saying if you tap on the right side of the menu, you can actually see this is our app that's laid out. And currently it has one page. Now, if I want to add a page, I'll just go ahead and click Add a Page. And I can choose whether to add it before or after the first page. So I'll just choose after. And we can actually give it a name, which is always helpful if you're building an app that has a lot of pages. We'll just call this page 2. Okay, so now I have an app with 2 pages. Now you can see on the bottom here, it shows me the number of pages that I've got. So let me go ahead and I can switch back to page 1 because I'm on page 2 of 2. So I'll switch back. And let me go ahead, and the first thing we want to do is let's put a background on this page. So to do that, I'll go into my app menu, and what we'll do is we will, the joy of using a new version, I'm not even seeing my, should be an option here. Let's go ahead and just add a graphic element. Did we, hey Mark?
Yeah.
Did we add Ken to the broadcast?
We need to.
Yeah, I'd like to. I'm having.
Yeah, let me see. I'm going to pull up his email and I'm going to give it to Pooja. I'll post it.
Yeah, it's just Ken at InteractStudios.com.
Can we add him, Pooja?
Yeah, I'm just adding him.
Okay. because I wouldn't mind getting him in here. I'm having a couple of issues that he can hopefully speak to as I'm troubleshooting around here. Okay, so and I think my fuddling around, all right. Let's go to back to our page. Let's go to the. You'll notice that we have the pages listed here. If I click on this arrow here, I can look at the different properties for this page. Basically, the properties, we can just assign different things to the page. In this case, I'm just going to assign a background image. So you'll see that option right on the bottom here. And what I'll do is I've got an image that I set up. And we'll go to webinars. May 15th. I think I chose a little image here. Ah, there we go. How's that?
Beautiful.
Yeah, that is beautiful. So we are actually, I'm using this image from Brett Curzon. I'm not sure if Brett's on here, but Brett is another active community member, and in fact, he's helped us tremendously throughout the past couple of years. He's the author, builder, illustrator of Build a Fish, and this image is actually coming from his next app that he's releasing, which is Build a Fish the Musical. It's really awesome too. So I decided we'd use some of his imagery, and that will also give him some exposure. Brett's always been great with us, and he's always provided us with a lot of artwork. If you were a Kickstarter backer and you received the shirt, the back of the shirt, that image where it says "Imagination becomes reality," that image was actually illustrated by Brett. So Pooja, did you get your shirts, by the way?
Not yet.
Uh-oh.
I'm going to go put mine on, Ezra. I'm going to go put mine.
I know there were shit. Oh, yeah, I can turn and show you the image. I can't see my camera, so hopefully you can see the image. But can you see the image, Pooja?
Oh, you'll have to turn off screen share, and then you'll be able to see that.
Here, I can hold it up.
Oh, okay, perfect.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, there we go. Oh, let me turn off my Skype here. All right, so we just added, a quick image, which is our background image, and what we can do now is let's add some things to the page, and we call those elements. And when we talk about elements, basically they're objects that the user, will interact with. So in this case, what I want to do is I'm going to choose a graphic to add, and we'll just call it. Okay, and I'll move them down here, and let's choose this image. And again, one of the nice features is we do integrate very closely with Dropbox, so you can actually choose your images from Dropbox and your audio from Dropbox. In this case, I'll just choose my seahorse. So see that little seahorse here?
Yep.
Move them over here. Now, another nice feature is I can just duplicate that seahorse if I want to. I'll duplicate him here. And you know what? Let's go ahead and let's make sure we just name these. So this is seahorse. Okay, it's good to name your elements, logical names. And we can call this seahorse. Now, let's say I wanted to add 3 more on the other side. So what I can do, I can go into our multi-selection mode, which is this icon on the bottom here, this rectangle. This allows me to select multiple elements. And what I can do is I can highlight the 3, and then I can choose duplicate again. Now I can move these to the other side. Okay, so I've got 6 little seahorses. But these I want to face in the other direction. So I can actually go to each one and hit transform, and I can just flip it. And I can do the same thing. Now again, I could have, let me get off multi-selection mode. So what I could have done is just copied each one, flip, and we'll flip. All right. So we have these little seahorses facing each other. And when you actually select any element, in this case the graphic element, it's got a lot of different options here. In this case, I was just choosing the transform menu. This is a really nice feature because you can actually do a few things. You can flip graphics, you can rotate 90 degrees, you can rotate by specifying a specific number of degrees. So it's just a way to manipulate your graphics. Now, when we talk about illustrations and graphics, one of the important things to know is that we're not an Illustrator tool. So we're not Adobe Illustrator, we're not Corel Draw. All of the graphics and imagery that you're using, ideally you're using another product to create those. Now, one of the nice features in the software is we have the ability to import a Photoshop file, which is extremely powerful. And in Photoshop, because you're dealing with layers, when we import a Photoshop file, each layer is actually imported as a separate element, which is, again, very, very powerful. Let me just make sure that, okay. All right, so we now have a little scene here. We've got 6 little seahorses. They're very cute. Now, what I want to do is I want to do something with these seahorses. So let's take the seahorse and let's make something happen. How do we do that? So in other words, what I want to do is maybe I want the seahorse to move up and down real gently. So I'm going to add an animation. And to add an animation, I'm just going to go to my action set. And the first thing, when we talk about an action set, basically an action set is allowing you to define what happens when. So what happens when is the question. The action set is the answer. So what happens when, in this case, the user, let's say, taps on this, the seahorse, which is the target, right? So, but we need to choose what happens first. So what happens when the user taps on this seahorse? What we want to happen is we want to animate him to move, right? We just want him to move up and down a little. So I'm going to choose animate. Okay? And what do we want to move, right? So that's the target. So in this case, I want that seahorse to move up and down. Now, you'll notice as I move my mouse, I've got on the bottom right, I've got coordinates. So the coordinates of the screen, the way it's designed, is that 0, 0 is the bottom left of the screen. So in this case, my seahorse over here, I want him to move up in a straight line, right? So I can do one of two things. I know I want to move in a linear fashion. That's the transition. I don't want him to go in a circle or random. I just want him to move in a linear fashion. And where do I want him to move? So I can do this. I can actually select the target and say, okay, move him just up just a little bit. Okay? Now, that's not a very accurate selection because, if I want to make sure he's moving in a straight line, I can actually type the coordinate in. So if I look at the information here, I can see that this element is sitting at the x coordinate of 806 and the y coordinate of 139. Okay, so I know that 139 is my y, currently where he's sitting from a y coordinate standpoint. So if I wanted to, I can be really specific and I can enter a specific target location here. And the same thing if I go over here, you'll see in the info, he's sitting at 766, 180. It didn't sound right on the, Pooja, was Ken able to join us?
Looks like he was in and stepped out for a minute.
Ah, okay. All right, so let's go back to our action set. So what we want to do is basically to animate.
Here he is, Ezra. He's back on.
Oh, hey, Ken, can you hear me?
Yeah, I think so.
Ah, awesome. Everyone, this is Ken Ray, and he's actually our lead developer.
Hey, Ken.
Hi there. Sorry it took so long.
No problem. I think you can think of me as the kind of the architect, and Ken's the builder, pardon the pun. Although Ken's helped tremendously with the architecture as well. Hey, Ken, just a quick, I'm going to put you on the spot, but is this coordinate seem right to you? 806, 139?
No. It doesn't. It should be more like 139, 200.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Okay.
Yeah, look in the lower right corner where the location is being updated as you move your mouse.
Yeah, it should be 130. Yeah, somewhere around there. Oh. Oh, very strange. They moved. It's moving back. I bet you now it will show the right coordinate. Nope.
Huh.
Yeah, that's the joy of trying a new version. There we go. Well, he's bouncing up and down.
Yeah.
All right, let's move these guys back. Ken, what I was doing was just doing some duplicating of some elements.
Okay, I'll check that and see if that's.
Yeah, you're breaking up a little on your headset there.
Oh, sorry about that.
There we go. All right, so this guy's moving up and down. Now, again, I can go ahead and add that action set to each little seahorse. I'm not going to go through each one, but just to show everyone one more time, we'll add this action set to this seahorse. And we'll tap, animate, linear, and again, I'll choose my target and move him up just a little bit. And again, he can move at a little different speed, so moving a little slower. Just say yes, and yes. All right, so again, he's moving a little diagonal because I actually chose the target, and it's easier if you know what your y coordinate is, which in this case is 190. You can actually put 190 in here, and then go to interact, and he will. Oh, it looks like my x and y coordinates are messed up, Ken.
Yeah, that's strange. I'm trying to do a test over here, and it's looking pretty good here. So we'll have to troubleshoot that a little bit later.
230, 190. Oh, no, maybe that was me. I changed the wrong coordinate. So 209, this x should be 209. And y, no. Oh yeah, y should be, let's put them up to 220. I think I'm getting my x and y coordinates mixed up. There we go. That's a little better. So you can see it's a lot smoother because he's going in a straight line. This guy's moving, he's actually moving a little bit diagonally. So, you know, again, I can fix that by the x coordinate. I think I need more caffeine, is the horizontal. So we want to make sure, again, if he's on 161, and it looks like my coordinates are correct now. So I want to leave him on 161. And actually, let me not throw him quite as high, so we'll move him to 210. Okay, so again, your x coordinate 161. So we're keeping the x coordinate the same and changing the y coordinate. It almost feels like I'm turning this into a math class. All right, go ahead. There we go. So now they're both kind of moving. That's just a simple type animation, right? So, you know, I now have this, you know, little scene, this little app, and, you know, doesn't do much, but this interact mode is where I can actually, it gives me the ability to try it out. It's like a simulator. So let's just add one more fun little thing here. And in this case, I'm going to drag over my Finder, which for those of you who are Windows users, this is like Windows Explorer. And we'll go ahead with this Piranha. And he's really fun because if you notice, I've got, it's basically what we call a frame animation. So these frames make up one animation. If you remember the old, Mark, you remember the old flip cards, right?
Sure, sure.
So this is really how we implement more complex animations. So you'll notice I've got 7 cards here. And as I move through each one, the cards actually, you'll notice the mouth opens and closes and the eyes move. So I'm going to the builder. So I'm going to highlight all 7 images, and I'll just click on the builder here. Actually, let me make sure it's, one thing for those of you who are more advanced users, make sure that your builder is highlighted when you're dragging in the files. So it's already in focus. And then once you do that, it will ask you, well, do you want to create 7 images, or do you want to create one animation? So in this case, I'll create an animation. So here's the animation. It's our little piranha, or big piranha. And no, he's not going to eat the seahorses.
It's a very ferocious graphic.
Yeah, it is.
Animation.
So we'll go ahead and show you what this looks like. Now, I can also add an animation, what we call a frame animation, by going to Add Element and choosing Animation. In this case, I just dragged in all 7 frames. Otherwise, I have to add 1 frame at a time. So in this case, you'll notice that I have this. We'll go ahead and, you know, you can. Gosh, I'm going to embarrass myself. I don't even know how to spell piranha. Piranha? Is that right? Close enough.
P-I-N-H-A. Just switch the N and the H.
Ah, okay. I was close. Wow, and I'm a Scrabble player.
No, that doesn't even look right. I'm going to look it up. I'll let you know, Ezra.
Oh, okay. I thought you sounded so confident.
I was, but
I think it's piranha. Anyway, okay, here's our piranha, and you'll notice
A-N-H-A. That's out of Wikipedia.
Oh, wait, what is it?
I think we've got it right. P-I-R-A-N-H-A.
A-N.
A-N-H-A.
Got it. All right, so we've got our piranha. Now you'll notice this is a frame animation. And I've got 7 frames here. So this shows me all 7 frames. I can add more frames if I want to. And I can choose any frame. I can even delete frames. Or I can switch them out if I want to. So that's the frames for my animation. And now let's go ahead and, again, let's say when the user oh, it doesn't matter. Let's say when they shake the device, okay? So if the user shakes the device, we're going to animate this piranha. And now we can go to what we call the frame animation editor. So here's my piranha. It has 7 frames, and I can actually play this animation. You see how he's awesome.
He's great.
Isn't he?
Yeah.
And actually, the speed looks pretty good. Now, maybe do a little faster. So, and this is something again you can just play 1,200 milliseconds. All right, so we've got our piranha. Okay, so one of the things also in the new version I should mention. Now, you'll notice, I'll just show you this. If I move this seahorse and I move him over here, you'll notice he falls behind the piranha. So again, the InteractBuilder works based on layers. So one thing that you can do is you can change your layers by just clicking on the ruler icon on the bottom here. And the 4 left buttons are layer buttons. And I can either bring something forward or send it back, right? So I can bring it all the way forward, or I can or I can do it 1 layer at a time. So if I wanted to basically bring this all the way forward, I would just, and you'll notice we have tooltips. When you hover over the tool, I can just click on this option and bring them all the way forward. Now, one really nice feature in version 3.1 is we're keeping this menu open, right? So you can just go to each element and change the layering very easily if you want to. And this just stays. So that's a feature that was requested from the community. So now you can actually do that. So that menu stays up. And while we're in this menu, you'll notice the menu is just covering the screen a little. You can actually change your magnification, right? So, if you want to make this a little smaller, make the whole scene smaller so you see more on the outskirts, you can actually do that. Okay? So if you wanted to add elements that don't, that maybe are off screen and then they move into the screen, you can use all this space around here to add different elements. It's just a work area. All right, I can go back and just say fit to the screen. And again, I can hide my ruler menu by so this either persists and stays on there, or you can just hide it. I can also resize the screen, so if I want it bigger, because I'm on a big monitor, I can do that. And I can even zoom in further if I wanted to. So if I have really small elements, you can zoom in a lot more. All right, so let's go back to interact mode. Oh, actually, let me move the seahorse back to where he was, and I can move him over here. We also have an undo and redo, if you notice at the top here. So I can undo that move, and then I can redo it. All right, so back to interact mode. So we've got we can tap here. Now, how do I shake the device? Well, I'm sitting here on my desktop, and I can't really shake my screen. I mean, I could, but it won't do me any good. So on the bottom left here, I've got some buttons that allow us to simulate. So in this case, you'll notice here, this simulates the shaking of the device. So let's shake it. Oh. And you notice how it changed size? That's because I was resizing the screen. So what we do is for frame animations, we keep what's called a cache. And a cache is just a temporary storage area. And it's meant to just speed up our operation. If you ever see that happening, which I'm glad it actually did happen, you can go into design mode and you can just clear your cache. So let's do that. Let's go into info, cache, clear it. And we'll go into interact mode and it should work a lot smoother. So now let's shake the device. There we go. So you see him moving his mouth?
Yep. Pretty fun.
Yeah, it's a nice little animation. All right, so we now see how to create. I mean, mostly we're focused on, you know, these little animations, and you can do a lot of other things. So to give you just one more little example, let's say you didn't want the piranha to really be visible until the user actually did something. So I can actually set this, the visibility of this element. I can actually say, no, don't show him.
Oh, Ezra,
so
can I interrupt you with a question from the chat?
Absolutely.
Pooja just forwarded the message. What screen resolution should you set your background image at for the iPad?
So in general, we're working on a 1024 by 768 resolution.
That's what she thought. Okay.
And we're going to actually talk about this a little more and just give it like 2 minutes here. I am going to share something. Okay, so let's say we wanted the piranha to fade in, you know, when the user first opens the page. So, you know, it's kind of, you know, he's not there, and we really want him to fade in. So what you can do is I set the visibility of the piranha. I set him to, at runtime, to no. Now you'll notice there's visible in Builder, visible at runtime. Well, if I set it visible in Builder to no, he disappears from the screen even in design mode, even when I'm designing the screen. The reason for that is you may have a really complex page that has a lot of elements, and you want to hide some elements so you can work on the other elements. So we let you hide your elements. And then you can show them again. Now, obviously, if it's not visible, how do you possibly show him if you've gone on and you're working on something else? So just real quick, I'll show you where you can go into the Element Manager, which is this little icon here. It's what we call the Element Manager. This shows everything that's on our screen right now. So I've got the piranha, I've got my 3 horses, I've got the copies of the seahorses. And in this case, you'll notice that the piranha is set to not visible. So I can just highlight it, hit info, and I can say, okay, make him visible again. Okay. Now again, he's not visible at runtime, but what we want to do is we want to add the effect that he fades in when we first open the page. So to do that, we're going to add another action set, and that's part of the beauty of this application is you can add as many action sets as you want. So in this case, I'm going to say there's no interaction because I just want it to fade in. I'll go to the show hide behaviors. I just want him to fade in when the page is loaded. And let's take maybe 3 seconds to fade in. Okay. So how do I tell it to do this, to actually trigger this action set when the page is loaded? I can actually choose behavior options, and I can say execute on page load. Okay, so now that piranha is going to come into view as it loads the page. So I'll go ahead. So you'll notice I have 2 action sets. Okay, let me close out my Element Manager. Again, you'll notice over here I can choose my action sets. I've got one, I've got the other. Okay, and now I can go to Interact, and there you go. He fades in. Okay, and remember when I shake the device. All right, so now I've created this wonderful little app, and I want to test it out on the device. How do I do that? All right, so what you do is you can go to Publish. And at this point, you do need to be registered. So if you're not registered, it won't let you share or publish your app. Now, we're not publishing because we're not submitting this to the App Store. We're going to share the app. And we're going to share it, in this case, with ourselves, but I can share it with all of you if I wanted to. So I can choose Share. And sharing is where, again, we're really unique. We are able to share an app that you built without publishing it in the App Store, which is extremely powerful. It's great if you're working on an app and you want to show someone what you've done so far. You've got a customer maybe you're working with and you want to let them review it. Maybe it's a corporation that wants to share apps with all its employees. Maybe it's a classroom that the teacher wants to share their app only with their students. So we can share apps, and we can do it 2 different ways. We can do it based on an email address, or or we can assign multiple devices to one person. So again, from a classroom standpoint, if the teacher would rather the students use one email address to sign in because of privacy reasons or whatever, they can just choose to add additional devices. Now, when you download the software, you'll notice here that we give you 5 shares, meaning you can share your app with 5 different people, and we also allow up to 3 devices. Sharing is extremely effective. It's also very economical. We just charge $1 per person that you share with. You can share an unlimited number of apps with that person. Okay? So in this case, I'm going to choose myself, and I'm going to share this app. Now, here's a 3.1 enhancement. At this point, it's going to ask me if I want to create a version of this app for the smartphone, for the iPhone, or for iPod touches. So previously in 3.0, we were able to share to an iPad. Now we've added the ability to share to iPhones and iPod touches. And keep in mind, with Apple, it's not just 2 different resolutions. It's actually there's 3 resolutions for iPhones and iPod touches, and there's 2 resolutions for iPads. Now, we support both the original iPhone, which was a 320 by 480 resolution. We support the iPhone 4, which is a 640 by 480 resolution. We support the iPhone 4 Retina, which is a that's a 960 by 640. I had to think. We also support the iPhone 5, so maybe there's more resolutions, which is 1136 by, I think, 960. Don't quote me on all those. Of course, we're sitting here in the Google Hangout, and if all of you paid attention, you'll know what's coming next. If all of you who got the invite from me for this Google Hangout, you notice that at the top of the invitation, there's another image there, and we'll talk about that in 1 second. But for now, we can choose whether or not we're going to share this app with just the iPods, or also, well, by default, you're sharing it with an iPad, and then you can choose whether to share it with iPods and iPhones. Okay, so unfortunately, again, I got a small error there, but basically, you just choose share. And all of you, I guess, can you see me on video, Mark, or can you only see my desktop?
We just see your desktop.
Oh, okay. So
we see the share and the publish.
Yeah, the share. Okay, so I thought we could do both. I guess you can't. Okay, well, so now Now I turned on my video camera. Saw the share button and how that worked, and what we're going to do now is I'm going to show you what happens on the actual device. So I'm going to, now unfortunately, again, I tried sharing this particular app and didn't quite share, but you'll see the effect of what happens. So basically, let me just switch to my, okay, so I gotta hold it around here. So here's my iPad, and when I share something, basically an email comes up that basically lets me know that an app has been shared with me. So in order to play the app, basically the user is directed to download the Interact Player, which is this over here. And the Interact Player will come up in a second here. And let me see. Okay. And, oh, I ran the wrong thing. Okay, that's coming. So this is the Interact Player. And I can go to my apps. And this shows all the apps that people have shared with me. Okay, so I can choose any of these apps, and I can download it, and I can now play it in the player. Now, I won't, because of the internet and everything going on, I'm not going to, really download and upload stuff. But for fun, let's go into an app that I shared before, which is actually Build-A-Fish the Musical. So we can actually show you the actual app itself that was built with IB3. So this is Build-A-Fish the Musical. And I'm going to show you a few screens. I know this is a little shaky, so I'm going to try to stabilize my hand here. You're seeing this good, right, Mark? Or are you seeing it kind of back?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So now the neat thing here is Bill does different things. So as you tap every element on the screen here, it does something. Now, what I'll choose is we'll choose the sea shanty. So you'll actually see the full effect of this page.
Our sails are patched in flower sacks. We dream of storms and push up the earth. Left the harbor late at night. Watch the sinking moon sink below the hills. We're gonna let it drip. Let's catch some fish. We're gonna sleep on the bottom of the sea. We're gonna sleep on the bottom of the sea. We're gonna sleep on the bottom of the sea. We're gonna sleep on the bottom of the sea. So pass it on. So pass it on. So pass it on. Oh, pass it on.
So that's Build-A-Fish.
That was worth the price of admission right there.
I'm sorry?
That was worth the price of admission right there. Did
It's
Ezra
awesome.
do it's awesome. Did Ezra do the art and score the songs? And I mean, I know he's the artist as well as the writer, but did he?
So Brett actually, Brett, who's based out of Australia, he did all the illustrations. He actually he co-wrote a lot of those songs, and he's working with a local Australian artist, the singer, and I need to, I don't remember his name, so I apologize, but you'll see it when we publish the app. Let me just see if I can see his name real quick. All songs by Mark Muldray. And they're original songs. This is a fun app. I am just so impressed with what Brett has done. We will be publishing it in the app stores very, very soon. So it's pretty much done. We're wrapping things up. It was all built with IB3. We worked with Brett, but he did all of the animations, all of the illustrations, part of the songwriting, and we're extremely excited about it.
Yeah,
it's a fun app that the kids will really absolutely love. So so that's basically the player. Now, part of what we are finally releasing, and I hit it briefly, but we are releasing the InteractBuilder for the iPad, and that's being submitted to Apple this week. So you'll notice here I've got the InteractBuilder running on my iPad. I also have it running on this iPad. So if I go over here, this is my big iPad. It's nice and heavy. Here's actually the InteractBuilder running on this iPad. Here we go. So here's the InteractBuilder running on a little bigger iPad that you can see a little easier. And the beauty is all of that behaviors, for example, well, let's go over here and I'll choose my info and I'll go to action. So I've got a behavior here, let's see, I've got two action sets. One is a grayscale, the other one is a drag move. Let's just do something real quick on this iPad. I'm going to say when the user shakes their device, I'm going to spin this graphic around. So we'll go to movement. And I'll choose spin right. Okay, so when I shake the iPad, I want it to spin right. Well, I can go to interact mode, and I can shake it, and it starts spinning. Have you seen me shake it?
Yep.
So we've now added all of these gestures to work directly on the iPad. Now let me show you something really cool. So I can go back into design. Actually, I can go into, let's say, well, let me go back into design. Oh, I'll go into manage. Let me change this. We'll call it Hangout iPad. Hit OK. I just changed the name to Hangout iPad. Now watch this. Since it's a very small app, I'm going to try to do this. I'll take a chance that the internet will be pretty quick. I'm going to share this right from the iPad. I built this on the iPad, and now I'm going to share it on the iPad. And again, I'm going to share it with myself. And I'm going to hit share. Do I want to share a copy for the iPhone? No. Oh, I'm not running. Okay, what I was going to show you that I was hoping would be the ooh and the ah moment was I can actually take any app that I have on the iPad. So, you know, I've got another one. This is on my iPad mini. Yes, I'm full of iPads. But I can go to any app that I've built, and I can go share it with myself. Now, why is that cool? I already talked about that. But I can share it with myself, and then I can actually open it up. I can go back to my desktop, which I'm going to do my screen share now. I can go back to the original desktop here. And once I share my app, I'm going to skip this. Once I share my app, I can over here, well, let me go back into our cards. So I can go into here or any of the screens, and I can choose my apps right here. And I can download the app that I just worked on the iPad. So think about this. Think about the impact here. It's actually tremendous. I can actually start building my app on an iPad. I can start building my app on the PC. I can start building my app on the desktop.
That's right.
And then I can, you know, let's say I'm working in my office and I need to go visit with Mark, and him and I are collaborating. We need to work together, you know, on something. Or maybe I need to go to Starbucks. You know, I'm working on my desktop app. I need to go to Starbucks. I don't want to drag my notebook. I don't want to drag a PC over there. Well, guess what? I can share my app, take my iPad, and then download the app, work on it right at Starbucks, and then share it back to myself and work on it on the desktop.
Hey, Ezra?
Yes.
Can you show the switching between desktop and iPad versions? Because I think we have a question on that. So if you could just show your screen again on your desktop.
Oh, show the yeah. So let me see if I can actually. Let me show my desktop here. Now this is coming in version 3.1. I just want to remind everyone. So in version 3.1, an option you'll see in the menu here. You'll have an option both. We actually enhance two things. We enhance the sample apps so that they literally will download right into. We in the current version we have sample apps, but you need to download a zip file, unzip it in the right place. We've actually fixed it, so you can just click on download sample apps. Whatever app you want to download, you choose it, and then it shows up in your bookcase. By the same token, you can download any app that you have built. So here's Build a Fish, for example. I can download that into my bookcase. You know, I've got quite a few apps that I've shared. You know, I don't know which one would be a small test one, but you know, I can just choose, I don't know, this erase test. And I can literally download this app, and it's one that I started on my iPad, and now it's showing up right in my bookcase. And I can now work on it on my bookcase, and I can go to Publish, share it again, download it on my iPad, work on it on the iPad. I can go back and forth between desktop and between tablet. So that's absolutely huge. This is one of the only authoring tools of apps out there that I'm aware of that lets you build apps on your tablet, on your iPad. Now, let me stop my screen sharing. Let me go back to the video. So,
can I give you a comment from Shar Ezra? She says it's awesome that you can build and test right on the iPad.
Yes.
It's a great feature. It makes everything so portable.
Yeah. Now, here's the real beauty. I've got something else to show you. If you noticed on our invitation, this was the picture that we sent on the header. It's the picture of the back of a Google Nexus. Google is obviously owns Android. They developed Android, and there's all kinds of tablets, all kinds of Android tablets. We happen to own this beautiful Google Nexus. And I'm going to turn it around. I will unlock it, and I will show you InteractBuilder. For the first time, we're showing this off. If we can make the screen not so glary.
Whoa.
This is the InteractBuilder. I wish my camera wasn't so glary, but this is the InteractBuilder running on the Google Nexus. I'm sorry if it looks a little gray here. The sun is really affecting it. So this is, here, if I hold that at an angle, actually, it looks better. So this is the Google Nexus running InteractBuilder. Wow. For the first time we're showing this. I promised Pooja I'd have a good surprise for her. This is running. We do have a few issues to work out still, so we're not releasing it this week, but we are hoping we are just around the corner from releasing the Google version of InteractBuilder, the Android version, which will run on any Google Android tablet. Google just announced that they have shipped 900 million Android devices. Okay, let me correct that. Not they ship, but there have been 900 million Android devices shipped to date. That's almost 1 billion. So part of our Kickstarter was a promise that we will enable you to develop and publish apps in the Android world. If you think about it, now that we have the builder working, the player part of the equation is very easy, right? So we started with the hard part. We wanted the builder to work on Android, and this will allow us to very easily publish the apps in any app that you develop on Android. And think about it. You only develop it once. You only build it once. And we will then be able to publish it in all of the different app stores, including Google Play, including the Amazon App Store, and any other app store that we feel, you know, Barnes & Noble. I don't know what's happening with that app store because of the Microsoft move right now. But any viable app store we will support, and you only build it once. Build your app once, share it with anyone, publish it to anywhere, build it on any device.
This is huge news. And it's breaking here now. Huge news.
Huge news. We know a lot of you have been patiently waiting for this. We know it's been, you know, we've delayed a few things, but I hope everyone can appreciate the enormity of this task. We're continuously adding features while we're developing on these multiple platforms. I'm sure even if you're not technical, you can imagine the difficulties that exist in trying to support the different platforms, and because they are very different. And supporting the different resolutions, if you think about it, Android itself has 31 different resolutions.
Huh.
31 different resolutions on their devices. Now let me show you something else. I recently switched. Yes, everyone will be in shock. Mr. iPhone has switched to this HTC One. And no, I'm not doing this just because Pooja works for Google and she's hosting it. I really did switch. Literally, people around me were in shock. They thought Ezra would never use anything but an iPhone. I just switched to this HTC One. It is a beautiful phone. I'm just absolutely in love with this phone. And this is running Android. And what we did just now, this phone, the resolution on it is pretty amazing. It's a true 1080p screen. Now 1080p is 1920 by 1080. I mean, that resolution is insane on this little device. It has 469 pixels per inch. 469 pixels per inch. Well, guess what? This is the InteractBuilder actually running on my Google phone, on my Android phone. We have the builder running on the phone. We have to fix some of the resolution because it's so small. It's almost too small to work with. But again, I think everyone hopefully can appreciate and get excited about where this is moving towards. And you know, this is for us just the beginning. I mean, just the beginning. So this is extremely exciting. I totally promised Pooja a good surprise. So Pooja, I hope you're pleasantly surprised.
Oh,
so
why did you switch to Android with your phone, Ezra? I'm just curious. What made you switch in the first place?
you know, I'm in general, I'm a real gadget person, and I've been staring at. I like really nice looking devices, so that's what started me looking at this device. It's just a beautiful looking phone. And then I saw the specs on the screen, and I was like, wow, that's going to be, you know, really nice. And in all honesty, I didn't know if I would like it, simply because Android is very different in many ways from the iPhone, and you know, in a way, it has a lot more flexibility because you can do a lot of more things. You can customize, you know, your screens in terms of, you know, your pages here. But you know, I think my excuse that I switched was, well, you know, we're going to be publishing apps on Android. I need an Android phone to test with. But at that point, I wasn't sure. I figured, okay, I'll just, you know, worst case, I just buy it. I still use my iPhone as my phone, but we'll have a phone to actually test with. But I actually ended up switching just because of Android has now, in all honesty, surpassed the iPhone in terms of features and functionality. The Apple has been in the lead, and they're the pioneers. But in all honesty, they've fallen a little behind. Now, that might change in June when they announce iOS 7. But in all honesty, they've got a lot of catching up to do. You know, this device is really phenomenal. It's extremely fast. It's half it's thin. It's about half the width of an iPhone 5. It's a bit of a bigger screen, which, you know, I like because, you know, I can, you know, really see everything really well. And I happen to really like it. So that's why I switched. There really wasn't any, you know, any main reason. But I'm extremely pleased with it. And Google, Pooja actually, I think, was just in attendance of their I/O meetings in San Francisco, and Google definitely announced a lot of exciting news. You know, a lot of updates to various different offerings that they have. So yeah, Android is, you know, it's a lot of people have either moved or are moving to Android. A lot of people are still very loyal to Apple, and Apple definitely from a, you know, just they've got a very strict marketplace. They've got, you know, a lot of strictness about them, which is good and bad. The good news is you've got a lot of consistency, very easy to use, and there's a lot of benefits to that. So, again, I think the bottom line message is that anyone here that's on this hangout, you just need to recognize that the world isn't black or white. It isn't Google or Apple, right? It isn't Windows or Mac OS. It isn't, a choice of, Linux or, Windows 8 or Windows 7 or Windows 98. And the problem with tools today is that most tools today are not platform agnostic. And HTML5 is coming, but you still you can't create a native app that's as robust in an HTML5 type environment. You still, this is why Google just announced their new Java programming platform, because they recognize that the app world is not going away. It's not going to be replaced, with just HTML5 programming. And the problem right now is if you really want to succeed in these marketplaces, besides the marketing work that you need to do, you also need to make sure that you're not specific to any particular platform. Not only that, you don't want to develop, your Xcode-based app for the iPad and then go hire a whole other team to develop something for you on Android. And that's where our tool is extremely revolutionary. The InteractBuilder is truly cross-platform. I can do my building on any platform, and I can do my publishing for any platform. Is where obviously we're just around the corner from, and that's what makes it unique. And we will be adding support for the Windows Phone platform as well. There have been 7 million Windows Phone devices that were shipped in the last quarter. So it's now third. It took over BlackBerry for third place. So I think what's important is to use the tools that make it easy for you to support these different platforms, makes it cost effective for you to support the platforms, and avoids all the headaches of trying to figure out, I need to hire an Xcode programmer, I need to hire a Java programmer, I need to hire a C# programmer. And that's really our overall message is we allow you to develop native applications that run natively on these devices, on various different platforms. And that's really our end goal. And we're a very small company with an extremely huge goal, but we're achieving it. We're getting it.
Shar says, thanks for taking the headache out of mobile app development. There's a lot of comments coming in here about...
The chat is exploding with comments and kudos to your team.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
So it's fantastic over there. So a couple of questions that I wanted to surface up. So one was from Shar, who asks what resolution should we use by default for Android and iPad? Does your software scale to any resolution?
Yeah, it does, and we're going to right now the way. What we're doing is that your base resolution is 1024 by 768. Now, what we do is we're scaling up the graphics for, for example, an iPhone 5 is 1136 by I think 960. So when you actually publish, we're scaling up those images. Now, again, I know a lot of people are going to make a comment. Well, if you're scaling up, you're losing some of that quality, on those images. So the ideal goal is, we want to scale down, right? But for now, our base resolution is 1024 by 768. We recommend that when you create your graphics, you actually create them in at least 2048 by 1536, if my math is correct. We recommend creating your graphics in Retina format, right? But the graphics that you'll use in the InteractBuilder, you should size it to half the size. Now, soon, in the next few months, we will fully be supporting the Retina displays. What I mean by fully supporting, right now, I can take Bill the Fish the Musical, and I can easily run it on an iPad Retina, and it looks great. It really does. And you can download, if you have an iPad Retina, you can download any of our apps, and you'll see they look great. But at the same time, you know, they're not doubling the pixels. So, you know, they're not true Retina apps. We will be supporting the ability to add true Retina graphics to your apps. So as you're preparing your graphics, I definitely recommend preparing them in the larger size. Our goal is to completely support all the resolutions at the native resolutions. Now keep in mind, the larger your graphics, the bigger your app. The bigger your app, the more likely the user is to get rid of it quicker. That's just reality. These devices, unfortunately, you know, this is a 32 gig HTC phone. It comes in 64 gig. The iPhone 5 is only 64, which sounds like a lot. But when you look at some of these apps, like Build-A-Fish the Musical, right now is 150 megabytes, not gigabytes. So 150 megabytes means that in a typical phone or tablet where most users get the 16 gigabyte version, 16 gigabytes, that means that I could have roughly 100 interactive apps, you know, the size of Build-A-Fish the Musical, which sounds like a lot, right? But keep in mind, other apps take up a lot of space, especially some of the games out there. So ideally, when you're creating apps, you want to optimize the size as much as possible so that these apps aren't taking up a ton of space. You know, you don't want an app that's a half a gigabyte, you know, if you can avoid it. Obviously, you know, if you've got this massive app and a lot of levels and all kinds of things going on, you may not be able to get to that point, but really, you know, you want to try to achieve as small of a size as of an app that you can. Okay.
Well,
there are a couple of questions on the player. So one of the questions is, can you explain the difference between native versus end users having to download the InteractBuilder player? And the other one is mostly a concern that users might not want to download like a separate player and then...
Absolutely. That is an excellent question. Okay, so remember I mentioned there are two ways to publish your app. I can either share it with someone, in which case to run it, the end user has to download our player. However, when you publish an app, right, when you publish it in the App Store, let me just show you my screen here. You see all my icons here?
Yes.
All of those icons are apps that were built with the InteractBuilder, and they run natively without the player. Okay, so here's Build-A-Fish that's in the App Store, and it's also in Google Play. It's not like we haven't played in the Android world. We have, but here's Build-A-Fish. Oop, there we go. So there's Build-A-Fish. And again, this is a native app. There is no player involved. So the reason why we use the player is because you can't share an app, right, with someone else without going through the App Store review process, right? So think about it. If you have an app, and if I have an app, and Pooja's sitting there in India, and she's like, Ezra, you know, I need help with an app, you know, and I need to share it with my students, and she sends me, you know, what she did on the builder, and I fix it up, and, you know, I'm going to share it. Now, I can send it to her because she has the builder, but the students, you know, they just want to run it. They don't have the builder on their classroom computer. So what we do is we allow you to share it, but to share it, you have to use the player. Now, in the case of publishing, we're publishing the app. It's published as a standalone app. That's why I mentioned at the beginning that we can, wow, my head is awfully big in this camera.
It's fine.
But that's why, here, I'll show my logo. But that's why when we talk about publishing, when you create an app, it's published either under us or under you, and it's published as a standalone app. The player has nothing to do with your app. There is no player. It's just your app. And that's a very important distinction. So absolutely, when you're ready to publish your app, you know, basically, and I'll just mention the finances, when you want to publish an app, you need to you sign up to what we call our membership. Or so everyone's moving to subscription-based. Even Adobe just announced it. Corel announced it. You know, everything that Google does is subscription-based. Our subscription is $299 for the year, which allows you to publish one app where we do the publishing work. It's under our name. And then it's $99 for each additional app that you want to publish. Now, if you have your own developer account where you're doing all the work of adding the app information, putting the screenshots, doing all that, you know, there is no additional fee. It's just the $299 per year. Of course, you have to pay your fee to the app stores, to Google Play, to Apple. It's all $99 a year. So it's up to you. You know, if you want to use us in terms of actually publishing it, submitting it, going through the review process, we do charge, you know, above and beyond that one app, which is part of that $299 per year. That $99 doesn't recur. It's just a one-time fee that we charge for publishing your app. The $299 is a recurring fee. Again, it's software. So think of it, if you don't like the word membership, think of it as your software maintenance fee. $299 per year gives you support, gives you updates, gives you everything you need to do to really start making money in the app world. So that's basically the finances behind behind the publishing.
And that includes getting it out to all the platforms as you start to take on more and more platforms.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes, and that's the big thing that's we're focused on is really supporting all of the different platforms, and we will be supporting also the desktop platforms. So there will be an equivalent to the player, and we will have the ability to compile an application that runs on the desktop. So Build-A-Fish will become a desktop application that people can actually run directly from their PC or Mac.
Ezra, I've got a question here from Jan, who's one of my students. I have an iPad 1 and create my illustrations on it. It is not Retinal display. Should I get a newer iPad to make everything and displaying properly when I create my apps?
So again, your iPad 1 is 1024 by 768. The illustrations will look perfectly fine even on a Retina display. I don't have, well, I mean, actually, no, I don't think I installed it. I was going to say I could show you on my Retinal display, you know, over here, the Retina display, but the bottom line is you're okay creating your illustrations in 1024 by 768. It will look perfectly fine on the Retina. However, with that said, the world is moving to higher resolution devices. That's apparent. So at some point, I would recommend starting to create your illustrations in at least 2048 by 1536. Just again, so you have those available. It's a lot harder to go backwards. In other words, it's a lot harder if you created them by 1024 by 768 trying to upscale them. It's a lot easier to start with the right resolution and then scale it down.
Okay. Jan also asks, is your book app creation also adaptable to more text-oriented genres of books like chapter books, or is it more of a picture book visual graphics? Yeah,
so that's a really good question. You know, we really, I think, kind of have, we do support both. We don't have all of the, you know, features in terms of what we call the text elements, in terms of, you know, the paragraph formatting and a lot of other things that, you know, you probably expect in chapter books. You know, chapter books, typically, they're not necessarily very interactive, but with that said, it's not necessarily the case that you wouldn't use this for chapter books. And as we move forward, we'll be adding a lot of the tools you need to add a lot more text-oriented features. We actually have, and I think Moshe he was on this Hangout or still is, but Moshe Kane is someone that we're working with who's published a couple of, he's published one book that I know of using iBook Author, iAuthor, which is Apple's product. Again, the negative of iAuthor, and I don't bash my competition, and I'm not even saying they're competitors, but the biggest negative to me is it's not cross-platform, right? So that to me immediately eliminates it. But in terms of Moshe, he's a professor in Israel, and he's actually taught, he teaches media classes at 2 different universities. He's used InteractBuilder. We have several of his students actually using it for projects at school, which is great. But Moshe published a photography book, and it's a chapter book using iAuthor, and we're going to work with him because we really want to be able to provide the tools necessary for Moshe to take that book and have it available on multiple platforms. So we absolutely will be working on more features to support chapter books. We are also going to work on a lot more features for people who are interested in creating game apps. We also will be working on more features for people interested in working on business apps. Again, this product is so versatile. Even if you use it for a replacement for Keynote or PowerPoint, it's a great product for that because it gives the end user an interactive experience. Imagine creating a presentation. You know, let's take Mark as an example. He has a presentation he wants to do. He wants to share it with his class. He can do that. He can add all of his contacts and then create an interactive presentation on how to illustrate children's books and actually distribute that courseware directly to all his students privately, which is great because Mark charges a membership fee. You know, so he doesn't want to just publish that information so anyone can get it. So he's got that private network that he can publish to. So the reach of this product is just unbelievable in terms of, you know, what you can do with it and where we're heading towards with this product. I also want to mention one thing because I know we have several of our users, specifically existing InteractBuilder users. The current player that we're running is actually not a cross-platform player. So it is very different from the current InteractBuilder. And we know that we know that there's issues that you're running into where you do something in InteractBuilder and it doesn't work in the player. We're aware of that. We know there's some issues out there. We are moving that player to this new cross-platform, and that is the next thing we're working on, literally. Starting next week, as soon as we release 3.1, we are working on the player, on the universal player for Android, for the desktop, and for the iPad and iPod Touches. So if anyone's running into issues, you know, definitely let us know. We're fixing things as fast as we can, but keep in mind that player is going to change so that it's exactly it works exactly like the builder. So it's a what you see in the builder is what you get in the player. But I wanted to mention that just so people understand why the player sometimes doesn't act exactly as you'd expect it.
Okay. Ezra, I'm also excited about the way you're able now to bring in so many different animation applications or files from various animation softwares. Can you touch on that? Because I think for illustrators that's real intriguing.
Yeah, and you know, Mark, I never even emailed you. We did end up, I'm sorry, it was one of those weeks. We did end up publishing that webinar on YouTube.
Yeah, that was a great webinar.
Yeah, and just to elaborate a little, but there are various tools out there for not only creating illustrations, you know, and we import from Photoshop, but there are other tools that provide you the ability to create elaborate animations. There's a few of them out there. One of them that we use internally is called Anime Studio. It's by a company called Microsmith, or Smith Micro, sorry. And it's a great tool. It really lets you take a graphic and manipulate it, and you know, define, for example, if you have a graphic of a person, you know, you can actually say where all the bone structure is. So you can say, okay, this is the arm and this is the shoulder, and you know, it lets you create these more elaborate frame animations, and you can use those tools and then import your output from those tools right into the builder. Not only that, you know, one of the nice things with the builder is the ability to copy and paste from various different sources. So what you can do, you can be in your graphics program. So for example, I use a product called Pixelmator. So if I go to Pixelmator, because it's a cheaper product from Photoshop, and I'm not an artist, and there's no point in me investing in the full version of Photoshop, even though we own it as a company, but for me it's just too complex. But I can be in here, and I assume you see my screen now, and I can literally, if this is my builder here, and I have a graphic in Pixelmator, I can take that graphic and literally, let's see if I have one that's worthwhile copying here. Oh, there we go. So I can take this graphic and just edit, copy from Pixelmator, and I'll go over here, and I can just paste it right in. And there we go. So, the ability for us to communicate in between different applications, is extremely powerful. Whether it's Keynote, whether it's, an animation tool, with those animation tools, you can export those animations right to files. So you can create that flip card effect and create all these files, and then share right in the builder, which again is extremely powerful.
That's great. Well, Moshe's here. He says he is eagerly waiting for the tech support. And Jan says the tech support would be super for graphic novels and spot illustrations in chapter books.
Yeah, definitely. And we do have, I should mention for anyone who's not here, I mean, you can absolutely add text.
Yeah.
One of the things that you can do with text, and if I'm just trying to think. Anyway, drag. If you create a kind of a text file, creating one real quick.
Are you sharing your screen, Ezra?
Not yet. So I'm just going to create something real quick and put it on my desktop here. So bear with me. Okay, I'll save it as just. And I'll just show you one more thing, which is, well, maybe more than one thing as the questions come in. Okay, so hopefully you're seeing my screen. So I can go to, just for anyone who hasn't seen this, let me just add a page here. That is page 2. And I have this little text of a story. I can just literally drag this in.
We're not seeing your screen yet, Ezra.
Oh. Sorry about that.
There we go.
Okay, so let me just open this with text wrangler. So I can actually, I have a little text here, it's a little story, and I can go ahead and I think if I save it as an RTF file, I don't know if I can do it here, might not let me, but if it's an RTF, which is a rich text format, I can actually drag the file literally into the builder. Now, yeah, which is really nice. I wish I had an example of an RTF. I have one, rich text format. Yeah, here we go. Okay, we'll give this one a shot. I don't even know what it is. It's some document of mine. But if you notice, it shows the plus sign when I drag it in. And here it is. So I drag this large document, obviously, in here. It would need to be formatted. But you can see that we do support, the ability to import text. And this actually is a text element. So, I can actually, change different attributes in it, and I can.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I can actually edit it. So here I'm editing it in the builder. There's a bunch of code, obviously, so it's a little too long for the page. But you get the idea. So it's not like we don't work with text. We totally can work with text. We just need some more features, obviously, to support it fully.
Okay, that's neat.
So Ezra, there's another question on whether you can hide pages and have them accessible only on a click of a button as opposed to having
Yeah,
it.
so that's a great little question here. So let me actually get rid of this text and let me share my. And let me show you. So in this case, I've got 2 pages, right? You know, let's say, let me just copy this flower. And let me go to page 2. And I'll just paste it, which you can copy elements between pages, which is really nice. And this will copy the actions on the page or for that. So this is actually a neat little action set, the drag erase. I'll show you what it does in a second. So let's say, let me do that. Let's go back. No, that's not the one I was on. Which one was I on? No, that's my... Totally forgot which app I was on, and I just hit exit. I think I was on demo. Yeah, that's the joy of having multiple. Obviously, I use this a lot for all kinds of testing. So, okay, no, that's not it either. What was the one I was using? Oh, hang out with. No, that's the one that gives an error. Erase this. Yeah, that's the one. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so this one, you've got 2 pages here, right? So I've got the first page with the bow, and I've got the second page with just the flower. Now, if I wanted to, by default, right, it acts like a book, right? So by default, you can actually click on the corners to change pages. So if I click on a corner, it would jump to the next page. I can also, if I wanted to, show the corner graphics just in this interact mode. You know, it just shows a representation of what we call the hotspots. So that's the hotspots that the user would tap to go to the next page and then the next page, etc. But I have the ability to basically turn those off. So let's do that. So on this page, let's go to the page properties, and let's just say under features, let's just disable the page flip back. Well, flip forward. I want to disable it so you can't flip to the next page. What we'll do now is we'll say, okay, add an action to this flower that lets me jump to that page. So in this case, I'll change this to tap, and I'm going to say go to page behavior. If you notice, all the behaviors are categorized. So in this case, I'm looking for a page behavior, and we just call it jump. And then it asks you, what page do you want to jump to? I'm going to say page 2. And now if I go to interact mode, it's disabled, so I can't move pages, you know, when I'm... Now, again, those are represented because I didn't turn the page move backwards off. I only disabled the page move forward. And then I can just click it, and it goes to the next page. And by the way, this is a neat little feature, this drag erase. Lets me erase a graphic. So if you wanted to create this effect where the user has to uncover a hidden treasure, you know, they can just use their finger and erase, you know, all the background, or the foreground to show what's in the back. But anyway, that's the way you would disable page move forward and page move backward. So you just go into the page features, turn off the navigation. Again, it's right under here. Well, you got to be in design mode. But you would go over here, page features, and just disable page flip backward. And again, I can disable both if I wanted to. And then just add a jump behavior. So if you're creating something like a choose your own adventure, that's the way you would do it.
Neat.
Awesome.
Yeah, very awesome.
Nice. Oh, here's another question. So Shar asks, if I get an Apple dev account, will you handle the hassle of uploading it for me when I want to publish?
Yeah, we will for now until we can automate it. Ideally, we're since we're not charging for each app, if you have your own account, we'd rather not do the work. But right now, the only way to get it published is for us to do it. So we will do it for you, but you will have to add all the information, the screenshots, the icons, the descriptions, that's all up to you. All we will do is upload the, compiled app for you. But absolutely, yes, we will.
But if you don't have a developer's account, then and you want you guys to do it with our program, that comes with the package, doesn't it?
Correct. So yeah. It's either, our whole point is giving our users choices, keeping everything extremely cost effective, and being flexible. I mean, that's the mantra we carry, not only in the product itself, but even ourselves as a business. Our goal is as many users as we can get. That's a very simple goal. So we keep everything extremely cost effective and extremely simple. If you want us to do it under our account, we'll do it. If you want us to do it under your account, we'll do it that way. So whatever's easy for you. A lot of people send me emails, ask me, well, what happens if we don't renew, every year? Are we going to unpublish the app? Again, if we're doing it under our name, just to explain why are we charging a yearly fee, is because not only is it coming under our name, that means that every month we're sending out sales reports, we're paying the not the commission, the revenue that you earn. We don't take any part of your revenue, right? So if you're selling your app for $1, Apple and Google take 33 cents, and then you get the remainder, right? So you get the 67 cents. We're not partaking in any piece of that. All we do is we charge $299 per year. If you look at the price of Photoshop, if you look at the price of PowerPoint, if you look at the prices of any of the tools that you use, we're extremely cost effective in terms of what we're providing from a software standpoint and what the price is. It's an extremely good value. So we actually hope we don't get the question of, well, do I have to renew every year? We hope you want to renew, and if you're successful with your app, absolutely you're going to want to renew. If you're not successful with your app and you have no plans of creating any other apps, then unfortunately, you probably won't want to renew. We understand that. But keep in mind, being successful in the app business requires a lot of work, and the most of the work is not creating your app. That's the easy part. Creating your app is the easiest part. It's the part after, when your app is created, is what's really hard. It's getting the word out, creating sales, creating all your different marketing channels for people to find out about your brand. That's the real work, and that's the real investment. If you think $299 is a lot in terms of publishing an app, then unfortunately I'm from New York, so I'm very blunt. Don't waste your time. If your budget is barely able to spend $299 to create an app, I promise you, you won't be successful.
Ezra, let's clarify on the publishing issue. Interact Books does publish apps, but what you're presenting is a scenario where you're not the publisher per se. You are more like the facilitator in the channel with which to get your app. You consumer being the publisher out to the marketplace. You're the channel. You're not the publisher. You're not going to be doing their promotion and publicity for them, but you'll be making it available to these different platforms.
Yeah, and thank you for asking that, Mark, because that's an important question. And people ask us about our publishing agreement. There is no publishing agreement. The terms of using our software are presented to you when you install the software. You own the copyright on everything. We don't own anything as far as what you create. Even if we're publishing on your behalf under our name, We don't own any part of it. We don't take any part of it.
You're not the publisher, per se, in the old traditional.
We're a facilitator, and I will mention that Interact Studios itself is a publisher. So yes. Brett Curzon is an example of an author that we are the publisher for, and we're promoting, and we're going to promote very heavily. Garrett Wren, who created All About Airports and is about to finish All About Farms, he's another example of someone that we are actually acting as the publisher. But we really decided to focus on being more the facilitator and only selecting certain apps that we feel we can do justice to, that we can help. You know, if I said to everyone that uses our software, oh, you know, we're going to help you market, we're going to help you with all the necessary steps to become successful, you know, unfortunately, we don't have the bandwidth to do that. You know, even if we charge more, it still, I think, would not be doing justice. So the idea that we're focused on now is providing you the tools to become successful, being the facilitator, I like that word, you know, to get your apps published, being the go-between. You know, if you don't want to sign up as a developer and you don't want the headaches of, you know, going through and paying $99 for each app store, absolutely, we handle that for you.
You know, that was a big role of the publisher in the old days, like last year, is to be the channel. Well, you are the channel to all these outlets for these apps.
We are the channel, and you know, going with a publisher does not ensure your success either. I want to emphasize that. I think many of you that have published, you know, books, even books in the past, you know, probably know that. You need to help yourself. You need to find the right resources to work with to become successful. That's extremely important. You know, the world of self-publishing is exploding, and really we're facilitating the tools that you need to self-publish. And you know, if you focus on your brand and build your brand and access and create a presence on all the social networks, on the web, you know, you can be extremely successful at this.
Yeah, and it used to cost somebody $7,000 or $8,000 to just put something up on one platform on the for iTunes. This is a whole different, incredible scenario.
Yeah, and it's easy enough for you to learn. If you're, especially since most of our audience are Photoshop and Illustrator users, if you use Photoshop and Illustrator, I'll say this very clearly. This product is so much easier in terms of learning it. You know, they do two different things. I'm not comparing them, but you know, Photoshop, oh my gosh, I mean, that's like a science on its own to learn. And I know many of you know it and can totally work circles around me when it comes to Photoshop. Our software, it really is very simple to learn compared to those.
And you can bring in files. You can bring in art files into the builder that have been created with any number of image manipulation software. It's not just most
image manipulation software lets you save a Photoshop file, and you can very easily literally you can just drag in a Photoshop file from your desktop into your app. Let me I'm just losing my voice again, but let me show you just real quick how easy. So again, I'll go to my Explorer and let's go to Apps. And if I look in here, I've got this Photoshop file that you can see. Let me just make sure that's highlighted. So what I can do is I can just drag that right in here. And it goes through and parses out the file. And you know, we've got quite a few layers and different graphic elements on this particular page, but it's still pretty fast. We'll go through, create all the elements, read through the file, and you're seeing my screen, right, Mark?
Yes,
Okay. And voila. So even if you're not an illustrator, if you're working with an illustrator who's creating the graphics for you, you just need to ask them to provide them to you in a Photoshop file format. And then you'll notice everything here is an element that now I can interact with.
Yeah. Maribel is asking, for animations, is it possible to export a GIF animation, GIF animations, GIF, created with After Effects?
So the GIF animations, keep in mind, a GIF animation is not supported on Apple devices. So you can't use a GIF. Now, if you brought a GIF animation into our software, I think it will actually show it as an animation. I'm not sure, I never tested it, but the bottom line is you don't want to do that because it won't run on, it's not our restriction, it's Apple's restriction. So what you want to do is take your GIF and simply open it up and save it as individual PNGs.
Okay, okay. And is that true of the animation files created in various animation softwares, Anime Studio?
Yeah, Anime Studio, what you want to do is just save it to individual PNGs.
PNGs.
Yeah, and we have a really good on that was done just in the last couple of weeks. If you go to YouTube, ask everyone, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Also, I should mention on Google Plus, we have a page for InteractBuilder. We have it on Facebook, of course, as well. But absolutely, we hope you join us. But you'll see right over here. Last week is when it was uploaded. We've got a webinar on using Photoshop and Anime Studio with InteractBuilder. And Ina Komarovsky, who is our heads up all of our studio services, she actually conducted this webinar, and she did a great job. So it's a really good webinar to watch. It's about an hour long. The first part that we did was just animation. So we separated it into two parts. Each one is about an hour.
Yeah.
And I think both are useful. Our channel has quite a few videos, and we keep adding more. So definitely, watch the videos.
Anyone can go to these, Ezra. They don't have to be necessarily immediately part of the
no, we're going to add more and more, premium type material. But right now, I kind of was, hedging between the two, especially with this webinar. But we decided to open it up to everyone, and our goal right now is just, use and get as many users as we can, and of course, we hope everyone upgrades their account and signs up for our publishing membership. Obviously, that's what feeds our company to keep going and keep developing. That's important. So,
right.
Obviously, we have to have a revenue model there.
Sure, sure.
I should also mention, from any menu in the builder, you can access our user guide, and you can also submit the feedback like I showed you before, but the user guide is really helpful. It's pretty comprehensive. It has everything from getting started to a lot of information about the different screens and all the different elements, and several of these tie to a video as well. So this is a really good way to learn the software. It's a lot of information is on here.
Okay.
Importing Photoshop files, we have a whole chapter on that. That talks about setting it up, alternative image processing programs, how to import changes. So there's a lot of information here.
A couple questions from Shar, Ezra, and that is when you publish under the InteractBuilder 3.0 name, does the InteractBuilder logo appear on our work in the Apple or Google store?
So we get listed as the developer.
Okay.
Again, if we're doing the publishing, if you have your own account, we don't get listed. So Interact Studios does not show up. If you are publishing under us, yeah, it will show up. It actually shows up right now. Our Apple account. Apple's a pain in the neck when it comes to changing names. We made an official name change from a company standpoint. We can operate as both, but it will show up as Interact Books as the actual developer for the software. And then we don't require it right now, but we do have a logo that we would like everyone to use somewhere in your app, on the last page, on the first page, and that just says powered by InteractBuilder. But we don't enforce that at this time. That may change. Again, we may add. That would be the only type of requirement that we may put in place. For now, it's more of a voluntary. We hope you like our software. If you don't mind, put that logo on there. The powered by InteractBuilder.
And self-publishers would want to put their own logo up if they think that's important. They would still do that.
Yeah, if you're a self-publisher and
yeah.
you feel it's important for you to have your own presence on the App Store, then you do want to sign up to the Apple Developer Program. At $99 a year. You do want to sign up to the Google Developer Program. Again, same price. I think it is $99 a year, and then you can publish under your company name.
Okay, whole lot easier than learning Flash, Shar wrote. And
thank you. And again, we've got a lot of plans, so there's a lot more coming.
Well, this has been a super webinar, a great window into. I don't know any. There's nothing quite like this out there now, is there, Ezra? You've kind of flown ahead of the.
I never like to say there's nothing out there like this, because people will start bombarding me with, well, Ezra, have you seen this tool? Or Ezra, have you seen that tool? I'm aware that there are some tools for creating interactive books. We're much more than that. Hopefully I was able to demonstrate that today. I don't think there are many tools that are cross-platform, even developer tools. There's only a small handful. There's a product called PhoneGap, which uses HTML5, and you've got to be a programmer to use it. There's no tools that I'm familiar with that lets you share your app instantly. I'm not aware of anything like that. It's pretty revolutionary. Is there anything like that like us out there? If there isn't, there will be, because we've been copied before. People will copy us again. Our goal is always to stay, at the lead. And if you're a runner, if you're a sprinter, one of the worst mistakes to make is looking back. Our goal is just to look forward.
That's a good point.
We've got enough innovation, we've got enough brains in this company where we don't need to spend the time looking at our competitors. We specifically don't. I never have in any business that I had. I've never spent time, looking at my competitors. I've never responded to questions about, well, how do you compare to this? Because how would I know what another software package does? I mean, unless I became an expert at it. So for me to put a chart up that says, oh, our software does this, your software, and this software doesn't, wouldn't be doing justice for the other software developer. I'm not worried about my competitors. I'm not worried about my competition. I'm worried about us. We've got enough to worry about. We've got enough plans. We've got enough tasks. We hope to be the best of the best. And whether Adobe, whether Microsoft, whether Google come out with tools, again, we're just not worried about it. Our goal is to create an easy platform, a solution that works on multi-platforms, and provide the absolutely best service available that we can. I mean, that's something we're constantly improving, constantly focusing on. It's not just about the software, it's about who are you working with, who's the company behind the software. I have personally a tremendous investment in this company, tremendous, more than I ever thought I would. I'm not going anywhere. I have no one to answer to. We didn't take a bank loan, we didn't go with venture capitalists. I'm growing it internally. I may at some point seek funding, but at this time, my whole goal is to create the absolutely best and easiest platform to develop apps out there, and hopefully at some point recover my investment. But I'm having a tremendous amount of fun with this. This is a work of passion, a work of love. I love working with all of our extremely talented community. I mean, people like yourself, Mark. I mean, it just amazed me. I'm not talented in that way. I don't have an artistic bone in my body. So,
well,
no, really,
it's a global community too, isn't it, Ezra?
it's oh, that's so much fun. When we do webinars, even today, I know we have people from all over. You know, I've counted as many as I think 22 different countries in one of our webinars. It's incredible. So, you know, this is really rewarding. Any of you on here that are questioning, oh, this is a small company, what's going to happen to them? We're not going anywhere. You know, I've got an extreme amount of patience and tenacity to see this through. You know, and again, there's no one banging on my door that's looking to collect their loan. You know, we're extremely solid, you know, financially with my backing, and we plan to be here for a long time. We have a lot of plans. You know, this is just the beginning. So we're extremely excited and thankful for all of the support that people have shown us from all over the world, and a lot of patience too. I mean, you know, if you look at our previous version and of InteractBuilder 2, it's drastically different, and InteractBuilder 3 has been exciting. At the same time, it's been hard for a lot of people, both from a, you know, transferring to a new platform, but also, you know, the growing pains of a brand new application and the bugs that people are facing, and you know, we're trying to minimize those as much as possible, but we're appreciative of all of the great feedback, all of the patience, and, you know, all of the great comments that have you know, constantly been coming through to us.
Well, we really appreciate your taking time out of your incredible schedule, Ezra, to spend this time on Saturday with us and walk us through all this. It's just been a real treat. So and on the page, on the events page, we're going to put up links for you. And if you have questions, the websites are full of information. The YouTube channel, of course. You've got a Vimeo channel too, also. We'll put them all up, don't you, Ezra? Or is it more
well,
YouTube?
You know, the Vimeo channel, we haven't updated. It mostly has InteractBuilder 2 videos on it.
Okay.
So yeah, really the YouTube channel is probably the best. You know, YouTube, we had signed up to the Vimeo one because we had a limitation on YouTube with the length of videos,
right.
But we overcame that you know, that limitation. I think you have to reach a certain point. I don't remember what the rules were, but anyway, the bottom line is we're focused more on the YouTube. That's part of the challenge these days. It's information overload. It's like, okay, the Facebook, the Google Plus, the YouTube, the Vimeo, the, you know, the LinkedIn, the, you know, it's just craziness in terms of the number of places to advertise yourself.
That's why I like Google. You know, it sort of makes everything simpler and integrates.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. We're really liking it, and obviously I'm becoming an Android fan. So.
Pooja, what do you think of that? So
that's awesome.
Pooja works for Google. We've got some other technical questions that have come up, but I think everybody wants to get on with their day or their lunch or whatever. So maybe we should close out now. And
yeah, I think we should. I know there were a lot of other questions. One link that definitely
audio
is the feedback.interactbuilder.com. You know, if you have questions that we didn't answer today, or if you have ideas, or if you have requests, you know, again, make your voice known. If you go to, again, it's
interactbuilder.feedback.com. There it is.
Yeah, I'm showing it on my screen right now. So, you know, just you can put your questions, help desk type issues, or just ideas. You can put here if there are ideas. We're going to watch to see how many people vote for an idea, and you know, that will help determine what we program next, what we focus on next. So,
okay,
visit that site.
Very good. Very good.
Fantastic.
Well, Pooja, thank you so much for your wonderful help again today, and we couldn't have done it without you, obviously. And everybody, thanks for your patience with our getting started a little later than usual. But this is not unusual for a Hangout. This is pretty cutting-edge technology, these Hangouts on air, and but we're just glad for the opportunity to do it like this. It's almost like a chat in your own, I don't know, your own living room. So
Yeah.
it's really fun. So
That's great.
we'll close out and thanks everybody, and catch the replay of this. And Pooja, thank you again. Pooja, when are you flying back to India?
Oh, tomorrow.
Oh,
Tomorrow.
wow.
Oh my goodness. Wow. Okay.
Have a great trip back.
Thanks.
Thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to do this, Pooja.
Yes, thank you, Pooja.